Friday afternoon. I guess almost Friday noon. It's right around noontime here, Joe.
It's getting closer to happy hour.
Almost afternoon.
There you go.
Is afternoon like a minute after 12? Is afternoon?
Yes. 12:01.
Trey, get away from that camera, Trey. I don't want you anywhere near that thing.
Why does he have the football?
He's got a stick. He's got a football. He thinks he's,
No, he thinks he's got Marino's release.
So speaking of Trey and a football, I heard the story today about Scott Van Pelt. You heard this one?
No.
Scott Van Pelt comes out dogging Joe Namath as to why he should be in the Hall of Fame. He says, if you go back and you look at his stats and his completion percentage is only like 58%, and more interceptions than touchdowns. But hey, look, I don't look. He guaranteed the win, and he did the one finger going off and all that. But when you look at his numbers, I don't even know if the guy's Hall of Fame worthy. And I'm saying, well, yeah, but go back and look at every other quarterback during that era. Everyone's and not to mention the defense is much more punitive back then.
Correct.
Than they are right now. A lot more difficult to play quarterback
Absolutely.
in the league back then than it is now.
There
That
were no
kind of
rules.
caught me off guard a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, bro, do your research a little more, you know?
Right. So you busted him a little bit on the –
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
That is a little weak, by the way, for the rules now that are definitely set up for the offense and for quarterbacks to have more success.
Yep.
Defensively, those poor guys, those poor bastards can't do anything.
No, defensively, jeez. Kim Bokamper, Joe Rose with you. Hey, Logan, come over here for a second. We get Trey on every now and then. No, Logan, you got to come around here, bro. No, this is a must. You got to come around here.
You bring him on the new haircut, or what are you doing?
Because I'm going to tell you what. About a week or so ago, his hair was hanging down his face.
No, he said.
Now look at what he did. Now not only did he trim up and clean up, you could have trimmed up here a little bit, but this is the magnificent thing right there. Look at that, my friends. Hey, girls, women out there, settle down. Settle down. What's your Twitter? At Logan McCall? What is it?
Yeah, at Logan McCall.
At Logan McCall. So if you want a piece of this, if you want to bounce those bones a little bit, right there, at Logan McCall, right there.
That's it.
Hey,
That's it.
This is fun-loving right here. Fun-loving night right here. If you're ready to go out and have fun, it's right here.
There you go.
It's a good time.
There you go.
It's a good time.
All right.
Oh, man.
Thanks for stopping by, Logan. Always a pleasure. Now, last time Trey was on, he had a little dance. You got a little something for us? You got a little, no?
I'll leave the showboating to Trey.
Okay.
Hey, I got to tell you, so I'm walking in with him.
Like
I
shit.
go, hey, man, your hair, you got your haircut? He goes, yeah, Bokamper's been ripping me. I finally got it. I got it done.
All cleaned up, Joe, but he still looks like shit,
Well, you know what? There's a girl
There's
out
a girl
there
for everyone.
You better
There's a
believe
girl
it.
for
There's
everyone,
somebody out there liquored up ready.
There's two-ton Tony out there somewhere. Don't worry about that. No doubt about that. It's the off-season, Joe. You got to come up with stuff.
Boy, you are busting balls hard today, boy. It's a good thing.
Friday.
It's a good thing
It's
they're
Friday.
used to
it's a
it with
weekend.
you. No question.
Gonna go out tonight. Gonna have a cocktail or two.
Yes, we
have
are.
a little dinner.
Yes.
So I'm kind of in that.
You're ready.
That joyous mood.
I can tell your attitude is definitely
it's Friday,
a Friday.
man.
No, there's no
it's
question.
It's a Friday attitude.
You cannot ruin a Friday.
Come in Monday. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, right.
But
what
Friday,
happened? Right. Yeah. I got you.
All right, Joe. Let's see. One thing we always do when you come on, kind of topics of the week that you've been going through, is you can watch. If you can listen to Joe every morning at 560 WQAM. 6 to 10, Monday through Friday, and on FM 96.2.
I don't know about
I think it's 96.2 or one of those. There's an FM.
You got me.
There's
something out there.
Because I know, because when I'm listening in the car,
Thank you.
I listen to you on the FM
better.
band.
I got you.
You sound a little better on the FM band.
I've always felt more like an FM
You're an FM guy.
An AM guy. That's old school, that AM shit.
All right, so let's kind of roll through what's kind of been going on out here. First of all, Joe, some changes in the coaching staff. Luan Ramo out, and we've kind of talked about this before, but just kind of getting everyone up to speed. Terrell Williams, defensive line coach, didn't renew his contract. Same with Danny Barrett, the running back coach. Clyde Christensen, offensive coordinator, has been reassigned. Right. New offensive coordinator, Dowell Loggins, comes in from Chicago. Jeremiah Washburn comes in for the offensive line coach.
Right.
Eric Studsville from Denver going to be the running back coach. None of this is official because they haven't sent out a press release, but everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Chris Kosorik, a defensive line coach who worked with Sue up in Detroit. Right. So those are the kind of changes there. Players, the guys that we kind of know aren't coming back: Lawrence Timmons, Julius Thomas, Jay Cutler, and Juwan James, right on the cusp there. unless he wants to take some more money.
I think it's fair to say that
I think it's fair to say that those guys are all gone. So that's that. But the topic of conversation now, Joe, has become about two guys, Jarvis Landry and Baker Mayfield.
Correct.
And Baker Mayfield comes out this week, and Kenny Stills, I guess he was on some show or doing some deal, and he gets a tweet from
on social media.
Social media from
They're
Baker
going
Mayfield,
back and forth.
Hashtag get me to Miami.
Right.
And then so he retweets it. It gets out there.
It explodes. It's
goes
one of the lead stories now on all the sports websites.
Everywhere, all the sports websites. It's out there. And then right after, I don't know if it was today or late yesterday, Baker comes out and says, no, look, there's a lot of teams I want to go to.
I'll go to any place.
That's agent speak
I was
right
just
there.
talking to Kenny Stills because Kenny's in Miami.
Yep.
Of course, Kenny Stills went to Oklahoma as well, so they were doing some Sooner bonding there. But, yeah, listen, you say something like that.
You think the agent got to him and said, oh, bro, whoa.
I would say that he's like, once again, telling Baker Mayfield, you got to be a little smarter than that.
Yep.
When you're talking about being a first-round quarterback about that, because you're going to be talking to all the teams. He's got the Senior Bowl he's playing in next week.
Hey, I give him a lot of credit for a guy who won the Heisman Trophy, know you're going to be a first-round pick, and you go to a Senior Bowl and play in the Senior Bowl. To me, it says a lot about the guy's desire to play football and show people what he can do.
He wants to move up the ladder, though.
Yeah, no doubt.
He figures right now.
He wants to
been
top
told
5. He wants to get up in top 5.
He's a pretty much fifth quarterback. Yep. He wants to move up. He knows if he plays well and they get to see everything, that he's going to have a chance to move up, you know. And I can tell you this, man, we ran a poll this morning, Bo, about 60% of the people, Baker Mayfield, 11th overall pick, people said, I've seen enough, I want Baker Mayfield.
All right, let me ask you this question, Joe. If let's say that the narrative down here in South Florida from the media, because none of this is coming from the organization.
Correct.
The narrative from the media, if the narrative from the media began a couple weeks ago, once the season ended for the Dolphins, and said that, hey, you know what, the kid Allen from Wyoming is a perfect fit for this team. If that was the narrative of the media in South Florida, you think the fans would jump on his bandwagon too?
Not like this. I think the Heisman Trophy
carries the allure of the Heisman Trophy.
I think the Heisman Trophy plus, listen, Oklahoma had a hell of a team.
And the guys
and
won
that
a lot,
offense
won
was
a lot
fun.
Of games,
And this guy is fun to watch.
Yep.
He's got a little flair to his game, like Johnny Manziel
on
the football
Johnny Manziel
field.
Out on him.
In college, I mean.
Yeah. And then you threw him under the bus for being at the Lakers game on the sidelines there.
Bo, it's just me personally. And
I
asked you, I said, listen,
I'm with
man,
you on that.
I'm trying to move up the ladder. I want everybody to know I'm serious about my football. And I see him now at 2 Laker games sitting down on the floor, which, by the way, he's got a right to do. I'm sure he's got the money to do it, and he's got his girl. I think the teams want to know, like, there's plenty of time to do that. Stay in the back there.
Yeah.
You know, he's at – everybody's different.
I know this. The teams would rather say, hey, you know, I saw something on social media of Baker Mayfield at a speed camp working on his game. Right?
Which he may be doing. We don't see those, but we see Johnny with the – Johnny. Baker
you kind of ties into Johnny Manziel and kind of the whole
did the same stuff.
Poor career path that he took after he got out of Texas A&M. It's led him to the Canadian Football League, and I think people start looking, hey, is this another guy that maybe he's a little too flamboyant for where he's going, and maybe jumping ahead of the gun a little bit for how good he's going to be in this league.
But go out and do the best you can. Yeah. There is plenty of time for me, and again, I'm sure he's given the seats. They're expensive. The floor seats for Laker games got to be really expensive.
Was he sitting next to Lonzo?
No, they're over in Lithuania.
Lonzo's the dad, right?
Yeah.
Lonzo's the dad. Which one's the dad?
Lonzo is the son.
The son.
LeVar is the father.
Oh, LeVar. LeVar Ball then.
Yeah.
So you think he was sitting next to LeVar?
No, LeVar's over in Lithuania with the other 2 kids.
Watching a 16-year-old kid play
in the
Lithuanian basketball league.
That is, exactly.
I saw some deal about. They go, it was kind of a spoof on Ball, and they go, how's it going over there? He goes, oh, it's great for my sons. They make a basket, and all 60 people in the stands jump up and down.
Yeah. I think he's the greatest thing we've had. Yeah. It's a weird path to get to the NBA. God bless them, whatever they're doing. But the other topic, Bo.
Is Jarvis. Yeah. Yep. And the whole Jarvis article that comes out where he feels disrespected. And look, you know what? All this come out in a newspaper article. I would just say this. You know what? If you read the newspaper, if that's where you get some information, you know, kind of try to see both sides of the coin, I would say.
Bo, you're talking about Armando Salguero had an article, and Jarvis Landry and his agent believe that Armando got that stuff from the front office of the Miami Dolphins. There was too much stuff in there, freelancing on routes, some other things. Like, it's not all great. It's not just about the money. There's other things. I would just rather, because I'm guessing Armando got that from the team, I'd rather the team not say it. And let's just negotiate behind closed doors. I don't want to see one side get pissed off at the other side. I still think things can get done, Bo, at least for a year. They got the franchise tag if they want to keep him, and they're afraid because he's going to have some other offers. Bo, I don't know what they're going to look like.
I don't know what happened to the old adage when it comes to negotiations. Let's not negotiate in the media. Let's not negotiate in the newspapers. Let's keep behind closed doors.
Both sides,
Let's go. And look, because I've been, my last contract with the Dolphins, I went in with my agent for negotiations. I was in there for every meeting they had just because I wanted to go through the process. I wanted to learn a little bit about it and do that whole thing. And it's not always the kindest place to be when you're sitting there talking about money. But that's where it needs to stay. It needs to stay in a room with both those parties. It doesn't do anybody good. It makes Jarvis Landry look bad in certain fans' eyes. And there's you could probably cut the cake in half, 50-50. Probably half of the fans, Jarvis fans, it doesn't make him look good to them. And the other 50% probably say it makes the team look bad. Because they're taking shots at the guy that has had more receptions in 4 years than anybody in the history of the game. I understand his yards per catch, but Jarvis is what Jarvis is from a standpoint of on-the-field production. But look, you can't tell me that guy's not the heartbeat of that offensive team, if not the whole football team.
Bo, I know it's been brought up. Everybody saw him get kicked out of the last game against the Bills. That can't happen. No. I totally agree. You can't have your best player, one of your best players, get kicked out of the game.
But I'll give you this. Give me that over a guy that doesn't get a pass thrown to him for a touchdown and pisses and moans all the way back to the bench because you didn't throw the football to him, even though your team scored a touchdown to go ahead. He's pissed off because he didn't get the ball thrown his way.
I agree, Bo, with that. But I just, getting back to the original thought, and that is just negotiate behind closed doors. There's no reason. March is going to be here before you know it, and we'll see what kind of money Jarvis Landry can get. I'm curious at this point. Is it closer to $10 million, Bo? Yeah. Is it closer to $15 million per year?
It's somewhere in that. It's somewhere in that window. It's somewhere in that 10 to 15 window. I'd be surprised if he gets 15, but who knows?
He's good. Listen, he's a good player. There's nothing that's not good about that guy on the football field. He can flat out play, moves chains. He makes tough catches. And I don't happen to be a guy, and I brought this up this morning. I don't think slot receivers are a dime a dozen.
No.
Everybody, we can find another slot guy. No. I've been around here a long time. We haven't had slot receivers.
You know who finds slot receivers a dime a dozen? The New England Patriots. You go back to Wes Welker. You go back to Danny Woodhead.
Amendola.
You go to Edelman. You go to Amendola. I mean, they kind of churn them out. One guy leaves, another guy comes in, and you don't even skip a beat with those guys. But they're the only guys that do that. You find a guy like that. I just think if this football team wants to be where they want to ultimately be over the course of the next half a dozen years, Jarvis Landry has to be a part of this football team.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see when March rolls around how this thing plays out, what kind of tag they put on him, Bo, what kind of tag they have. He's the most popular guy. I don't know how much that plays into it. Does that play into it, popularity?
I've got to think it does, Joe. I've got to think it does.
Because he's the most popular guy on the team.
I think when you go out there, I think when you're sitting in that room up there and it's all coaches, I don't think popularity comes into it one iota. But I think when you start getting organizationally into the thing and you start looking at the big picture, look, you there's a truck out in the parking lot here that goes around to all these youth camps. And carries all the equipment around. Whose picture's on it? Jarvis Landry. Everywhere you go. Is there
anybody? They got cards in front when you walk in.
If there's anybody that there's nobody on this football team, including Ryan Tannehill, including Jay Cutler, who had their face plastered around this city more than Jarvis Landry.
I totally agree. And Bo, this has been brought up. Dave Hyde had this article in the Sun Sentinel. So Jarvis Landry sitting there saying, "Hey, loyalty. I did the right things. I was here for the whole offseason. I was leader last year, and you have been preaching that guys are taken care of, like Kiko Alonso and all the other guys, Andre Branch. And Rashad and TJ and all these guys taken care of, and now all of a sudden you're trying to find bad things in me.
Yeah.
So I can understand where he's a little fried at this point.
I would
but,
too.
Bo, it is part of negotiations. Yeah. That's why it needs to be done behind the door where you can negotiate instead of through fans and media members.
See, I'm almost of the school that says, you know what, I'm going to hire you as my agent. You go negotiate my contract, and you tell me when they come to my number.
Right.
I don't want to hear anything that goes on in there because there's going to be stuff that goes on. There's going to be stuff that's said. You're not going to negotiate properly if you don't bring out the negatives in anything you're doing. I don't care what it is. It's a competition, just like a football game on Sunday is a competition. You try to give and take, and that's
Here's
the way
why
it works.
we don't think we should pay him as much. Here's some things that have bothered us that he does. And the agent's going, well, wait a second. Look at all the catches, the leadership. He's done everything you've asked. So, I mean, I see both sides.
I'm with you. All right, so that's kind of been your topic. Let's get to some of the questions along the way here. We get into the game, too, a little bit for this weekend, Joe. Pretty interesting. Minnesota and Philadelphia at Philadelphia. New England and Jacksonville, that game in New England. We'll get to that a little bit and get some of our thoughts on that. But let's get some of these questions here. Ignashka Kaliska. Hey, Bo, why can't they pay Jarvis as a top slot wide receiver in the league? What money would that entail? Well, I think the money. I think you're looking at a high point, $15 million. I don't think Jarvis settles for 10 a year. I don't think that's a number that's going to fit for. So somewhere in that, 12 to 14 number, 12 to $14 million number. Yeah. But now, I think I saw recently where if he were to be franchised, that number goes up to like $17 million.
Goes up a lot. I think 16 or 17 million. Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, there's a part of me that says, "Hey, franchise me. I'll take that $17 million and take my chances."
He goes, then we'll deal with this again. Instead of age 25, 26, I'm still in my prime.
And you know what? If you want to put franchise me again, and that 17 goes to 19, I'll raise my hand for that too.
Right. Just keep doing them.
But I guess I understand the franchising part because if you do a franchise, then you have really no parachute in case something happens to you injury-wise.
Here's the other problem to everybody, because I've been asked this too. Jarvis doesn't want to hear about slot. He wants to talk about receiver.
Yeah.
I'm a receiver.
Yeah.
I'm a top receiver. I don't want to hear about slot. Yes, I move around. I do play a lot. And, by the way, he's much better in the slot than he is outside.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I look, and as much, but things change in this league from a standpoint of, you remember when the left tackle used to be the main guy? Now that right tackle's become
right tackle's getting a lot more money.
He's starting to get a lot more money. It used to be this. The left tackle got the big money. Right tackle kind of got scraps. Yeah. That's kind of switching around. So things change in this league. And I do believe with all the different things that Jarvis does, put him in the backfield, put him as a slot. You can kick him outside if you need to. Punt return or everything. I would say, look, just me, if it was me to say, how do you label Jarvis? I say, I just label him as a receiver. I wouldn't pigeonhole him in the slot myself. Just because of all the things that he does, I understand he's not playing on the edges all the time, but he does so many different things for you.
You know what's crazy about this whole topic? Because this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, it's going to go on for a while.
He's a second-round pick and a damn good second-round pick of the Miami Dolphins, one of the best second-round picks they've ever had. And it's nice to finally I hope we have a lot of these kind of debates.
No, I hope so,
that we're talking about all our draft picks being this good to re-sign them.
You hope in 3 years you're talking about Charles Harris and Gottschalk.
Thank you.
Those guys, and they want too much money.
X-Man, all of them.
Yeah, you know what? The best thing would be is if you had to pay everyone top dollar because you got a team full of Pro Bowlers out there.
I want to have that problem.
we got 9 Pro Bowlers in this team we got to take care of. 5 of them are free agents. That's where you want to be.
Right. I'm with you. Totally with you.
El Chapo, how did you guys used to spend your off season when you played? Well, when I first came in the league, I remember this. My rookie year, I was on injured reserve, so I was like Raekwon McMillan. Opening kickoff blew my knee out. I was done for my rookie year, so I was on injured reserve.
Did you stay around here? Did you stay in town the whole time?
I went home for a little while, but then I stayed around. I used to go to the games and chart in the press box and do all that kind of stuff with the coaches up there. But so all I remember is during the off season, the last game we lost to the Minnesota Vikings. It was a U-Haul game because everyone had their U-Hauls packed up in the parking
U-Haul
lot.
Game.
They had their U-Hauls in the parking lot with all their stuff as soon as the game was over there because everyone used to go to work. They used to do jobs. Jim Langer, a Hall of Fame center, was a bank teller in Minnesota. Vern Denherter go to Iowa, had a farm in Iowa, and did. Guys would just
all
leave.
those guys had their
go to
second
work.
jobs back home. Yeah.
But I remember after we got our ass chewed for losing the game to Minnesota, which took about 25 minutes, and Coach Shula walked around the locker room and goes, I know all of you guys that quit on us. I know every one of you, and I can tell you this, you're not going to be back next year. After the fun and frivolity of that, his last words were, I'll see you guys in May, right? We had absolutely nothing to do until minicamp in May.
Well, that's
nothing.
I'm
so
glad
you
you
worked
said
out
that.
on your own. You had to go out and you had to get yourself in shape. And really at that point, minicamp was more about just gauging your conditioning than anything
Then
else.
you could pick it up for June and July to get ready for
because
a long
They
camp.
want you to get there, hey, you're 10 pounds overweight. You can't run the 12-minute run. You better get your ass in gear because if you're like this come July, you're out of here. And
you
that's
get a little motivated.
That's really all. And then after you're there for 3 days, was, hey, I'll see you guys again in July.
Bo, you hear this all the time, too. These guys stay basically in shape year-round now. It's a different game, but we did. We had a long break, and for us, which they don't do now, that meant about 50 basketball games for me. I stayed around and played with the traveling Miami Dolphin basketball team that played throughout the state. From Jacksonville down, we had games with the fire department, teachers,
high school,
Tampa
teachers.
Bay Bucks. You named it. They had a team. We'd play them for $75 a game.
Yeah.
Hotel room.
7-man roster.
7-man roster.
And the two guys sitting on the bench couldn't play worth a lick. So they weren't going to.
Some of them didn't want to play.
He usually was like Ed Newman. Usually like Ed Newman and Eric Laxo. Sitting in the end of the bench, and you're running out there, and there's about 10 minutes left to go in the game, and you're going, bro, come on. They're like, no,
you go ahead. Getting the same as you. All right. So that was a workout.
Yeah. So that was it. Yeah, it really didn't do much in the off season, but as the league is gone, I remember one year Coach Shula says, hey, we're the Dallas Cowboys are doing off season conditioning. They're paying guys to come in and work out. How long do you think it took us to do that? Like a week. 1 week later, we're in here and we're working out.
Like $200 a week for off-season workouts.
Yeah, for off-season workouts. And that was, hey, if you hear someone else is doing it, we're going to do it. But now, I tell you, now these guys, guys are working out in here now.
We ran into guys today, and both the facilities, like, it used to be we'd go find facilities because everything was better than we had at St. Thomas. You can't beat this now. Indoor, outdoor. You come in here. We're in a practice indoor facility today. It's beautiful.
And Joe, if you're not in the NFL yet, but you're one of these guys that's draft eligible, you're all in Arizona. You're at Bommarito down there. You're all these performance camps, working out, getting ready for the combine, getting ready for individual workouts. So in essence, those guys, the guys right now that played college football this year began in June or July for college football. They went through their college football season, step right into conditioning for the combine, go through the combine, continue conditioning for individual team workouts, get drafted. A week later, you come to rookie mini camp. Then you're into OTAs, and you don't get much time off until July. Then you come back after 2 weeks, and then you got that long haul until January. So this for those guys is like you talk about a marathon. From the beginning of their college football senior year or junior year if they come out until their first NFL season is over, man, that's an 18-month proposition for these guys.
I have Braxton Berrios on, who's playing in the Senior Bowl next week, and he went right from the last game to Wisconsin, went right into one of these workouts, Bommarito, you're talking about. It's been working out with him right until he's done, goes right to the Senior Bowl. And then from there, Bo, combine shows up. You got to stay in shape for all those things. You want to run a great 40. You want to show them you can jump. You want to show them you can catch the football and everything else.
So did you have a combine when you came out?
No.
So you were kind of like me. So I would go to campus. I would go to campus San Jose State. Never go to class because I never went to class. But I would go to campus at San Jose State, sit in the breezeway and watch the girls walk by. Yeah. And someone from the football office would come down. Hey, Kim, you got to be out at South Campus at 2 o'clock. The Raiders. Someone from the Raiders is going to be there to work you out, and then at 3 o'clock, someone from the Cowboys is going to be there to work you out. So
same thing.
And you just go there and you have no idea what you're going to do.
Had no idea when somebody like the Dolphins came by and worked me out one day at Berkeley, and I was like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Bills are here. Okay.
Yeah.
And
that was it.
Run a 40. Put me through a ton. Every guy wanted to run. Like every guy wanted to be the quarterback and go like 50 routes to you, and then say, all right, take care. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it?
Every day.
You like me?
It was like that every day. Yeah, it was great. It was a whole different
stuff.
Whole different thing. So you had to be in somewhat shape, but not near what these guys go through. Now that leads me to the other thing about the combine, and we're just kind of going wherever we're going here. But I hate the combine. I love the combine because I love to watch the stuff. I'm a geek, and I love to watch these guys. I run the 40s, run routes. Do the 3-cone drill. Oh, I love to watch all that stuff. But I hate the combine because all these guys are going to spend the next 3 or 4 months, I don't know when the combine, or next 2 months, I guess, getting ready to run the 40, do the 3-cone drill, do all these things. I would prefer these guys show up for the combine, and then we'll tell you what drills you're going to run. And we're not going to run the same drills
so they
we
can't
did
practice
last year.
on everything.
I want to get a true gauge on, first of all, if we show you a drill, can you figure it out, 1. 2, without knowing or having done it before, let me see how you do on that.
Right.
I want your true ability, not some manufactured ability that you went and worked for 3 months on. And again, just go out and do it. All different drills. That's that's to me what I would do with the combine.
I got to tell you, it's crazier than that. And talking to Drew Rosenhaus about this, they actually go through the questions they think that their clients are going to be asked in those meetings. So they've been coached up on everything like, hey, you got in trouble your freshman year. We think it was marijuana, and oh, yes, I made a mistake at that time. I mean, they're all coached up on everything. The whole thing's a big coaching job.
It was kind of like when I was at San Jose State and I had to take an exam. I'd never been to class, so I walk in to get ready to take the exam, and the teacher puts a book down next to me and walks out, and I leave the test, and he goes, by the way, this isn't an open book test, and he'd walk out and leave the room. Somehow I passed the test.
You are beautiful.
No, I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you. I got to tell you. So my freshman year in college, my freshman year in college, I went to a little small school in Minnesota, Concordia College, 1,200 students. It was a Lutheran school, and it was a very religious school, right? You had to pray every
that wasn't
before.
A good start for you, right?
No, you had to pray every beginning of every day, and so we go through them there, and I'm with 2 buddies of mine from California that I played high school with. They all went there. So we're in a class. We all had this one same class. It was a religion class, and so our first exam came, right? So we're coming, and I'm going, geez, I didn't study. I was playing basketball. There were some girls at the, in the Commons. I went over there. I hung out there. So I'm going, oh, geez, how am I going to get through this? So the teacher goes, okay, we got an exam. Everyone's got a booklet on their table.
Right.
First thing I'd like you to do is turn to the last page of the book. Turn to the last page of the book. Have you read this. And it talks about how, at the Concordia College, we're an honorable college and the whole religious thing and this and that, and we're a trusting college. When you're done with your exam, sign this page, and that'll let us know that you didn't cheat. And so they didn't say cheat, but
they knew,
So they close it. They'd say, "Okay, close your book." Teacher would go, "All right, I'm leaving." They'd leave, and they leave you there to take the test. And I had one of my buddies on this side who was really smart, and another buddy on this side was smart enough, and I'm sitting there in the middle. There's no teachers. And when look,
you're like, this is free stealing.
Someone said, you mean you're going to leave the room while we take the exam, and you're going to trust us? And she goes, yes, that's how we do it here in Concordia. Turns and walks away, and me and my buddies each look at it and go, oh yeah, this is my kind of place.
One hell of a school here. Wow, that is unbelievable.
Oh God, I don't even know how I got in that. Clayton Knowles from Facebook. We need to strengthen the O-line and tighten up the secondary. I'm not going to argue with that. I like the secondary, though. Of all these areas that I look at in this football team, the area I'm not looking at for free agency and in the draft right now is the secondary. I think there's a good battle. I think X is kind of proven he's the guy on one side. You got Rashad and TJ in the middle.
Bobby McCain
in the slot. And then you got Tank over there, like Lippett coming back. And Bobby McCain showed that he can play outside. I like the competition there. If you draft someone along the way, I'm fine with that. But I don't think that's a big area of need.
I don't think you spend a lot more money than you already have on those positions.
Strengthening that offensive line, no, I'm with that. I'm on that 100%.
Yeah, I think we both are. And outside linebackers got to be in there at the top. Bo, I don't know how much more you can add on your D-line.
No, I'm with you there.
You got three young defensive tackles in Dominic and Sue, and then you've got 4 or 5 defensive ends. Andre Branch ain't going anywhere.
No.
Charles Harris isn't going anywhere.
And I'd like to see William Hayes come back too. I would love to see
he
William
wants
Hayes
to
come
play.
back.
I like what he added with the run defense. I'm with you.
No doubt. Yeah, I'm fine in the defensive line. We need to stay okay with it. Perry Gerald, should this offense be built on as a run-first team? Joe, maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm old school. I still believe that every team in this league wants to run the ball first, want to establish the run first. And if you're a defense, the first thing you want to do is stop the run. Okay. I understand that it's a wide-open game. They're throwing the ball more than ever. It's never been easier to play pitch and catch in this league than it is right now. But I still think if you want to have that type of offense, you either have to have a very, very good threat of the run or you have to have a good running game because you have neither. If you have neither, you're not going to win any games.
Yep, I'm with you. They've changed the rules a lot, and it is about passing numbers and stuff, but you got to be able to run it. By the way, you know the number 1 running team in the regular season was in the NFL? That would be the Jacksonville
Jacksonville Jaguars.
How about that?
Well, look, you got Blake Bortles as a quarterback. And, look, I have nothing against Blake Bortles, but
you're not going to rip him, too. He's been ripped by everybody.
No, you're not winning games with him. I mean, he's kind of in that Trent Dilfer mode when he played at Baltimore, and that defense was so good. And they had a little bit of running game. They could do this and that.
Right.
I think Blake Bortles is that same thing because they got a big offensive line, good offensive line, got some decent receivers, got good running backs, and a defense. That, I give them a big chance. Up in New England, a big chance.
I don't know if experience and on the road.
Yep. All that plays into it.
But I think if Jacksonville, which was a confident and cocky group going to Pittsburgh, they take that attitude, I think it can be a good game.
I'm with you. Periscope, David K., what are your thoughts on 3 of the 4 teams having great defenses but mediocre quarterbacks? Well, just what we talked about. I mean, who would have thought going into a Super Bowl when this league is built on good quarterbacks that you'd have Case Keenum, you'd have Blake Bortles, and you had Nick Foles going against and Tom Brady as your 4 final quarterbacks.
Never believed it.
I would have never believed it in my life. Never.
I did when you have these shows, you look up all this stuff. I'll give you a number. They all have one thing in common. It's on defense, points per game.
Yep.
For the best teams in football, Patriots in there too, all given way under 20 points per game in the teens, allowing per game. Bo, that's it, even if you're moving ball. And I thought, and that's New England, who doesn't have a great overall defense numbers-wise, but they keep you out of the end zone. I thought of your killer bees.
No doubt. I mean, that's the theory. That was the theory of Bill Arnsparger, and I think that's that theory in New England. You know what? The idea is don't give up the big play. Don't give up the big. Don't let them go for 50 on you.
Right.
Don't let them go for 60 on you. Instead, make them take 16 plays to get to, if they want to score, make them take 16 to 18 plays to do it. Because somewhere along the line, they're going to make a mistake, and then we're going to capitalize on that mistake. That's the theory. That's that old bend but don't break. It served Bill Arnsparger well through the no-name defense all the way through until he left the Miami Dolphins.
He was good, man.
That was the theory of his thing. And you look at New England, they were one of the worst teams given as far as yardage defensively. But that's why I always say when you look at defense, I don't care about defensive stats. That's the one stat I look at. Points allowed.
You get
points
in the red
allowed
zone,
is going to tell you
they get stingy.
Yeah, and some of those teams, when you have low points allowed numbers and they're that good, some of those points came from the offensive side on pick sixes or special teams types of things. So you can usually take 2 or 3 touchdowns a year out of those those kind of numbers.
That's right.
So anyway, so that's I'm with you on that. David K., what are your thoughts on 3 or 4 teams? Oh, I got that. Periscope, Miami Bird 24. It seems like we always lose our good picks. We need to keep them. Well, that's what they've tried to start doing last year, was trying to keep their own. And Jarvis is one of our own from a draft standpoint. I agree with that. Jarvis is certainly a guy, one of our own, that kind of a homegrown guy you like to see stick around for a while.
This popped up today, Bo, too, a lot with that 11th pick. And, hey, because we need different things, let's move out of 11 if somebody's crazy about one of those. I want to stay there, too. I don't want to move down and pick up. I don't want to pick up 2s and 3s. Let's take what we got and get the best player.
Yeah, I don't care what.
11th overall, you're getting 11th best player in the draft.
Exactly.
And you're bored.
And it comes up to you to pick that right guy.
Right.
But you say, I can get the 11th best guy in the coming out of college, or I can get the 20th best guy but then get the 53rd best guy too.
I won't do that.
Give me that 11th best guy,
I'm with you.
and I'm going to take that.
We've seen
I'll
him
take my
do it
chance
different ways, and hadn't always worked out.
Seems like Landry's a great receiver. This is from Robert Jarvis. No relation to Jarvis Landry, I think. Facebook. Landry's a great receiver, but we need to spend our money more wisely. Oh, it's your money now. It's your money we're spending.
He said we. Like
I
the
know.
whole team.
Look, I Joe, you know my theory.
I
don't
know.
care. I don't care. Everyone, all this year, Jay Cutler, you gave him $10 million. What do I care? They give him
right.
10. Not my $10 million.
Yeah. It worked under. It was legal to do under the cap. It was
good.
good.
Under the salary cap, whether you liked the way he played or didn't like the way he played. What do you care how much money he's making?
Right.
I don't care how much money they're making. And the other thing is, I think you can manipulate the cap virtually any way you want to manipulate the cap to get the guys you want. So I'm not worried about the cap. I'm not worried about how much money one guy makes. I'm just worried about getting guys together.
Yeah, just give me a better team. And if we need those guys and there's more potential out there, let's do it.
Yeah,
I get it. But it's got to be built through the draft.
Yep. Facebook,
Totally
Charlie Walton,
agree.
last one. Any word on McMillan's injury? No, I haven't even seen him around. I'm excited to see him play. I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah, we all
but
are.
I think he was hurt early enough.
Should be back.
That
ready
I
to
think
go.
he should be ready to go.
No
I think
question.
he'd probably be ready. Probably
He's
be
all
ready
business.
For some of these,
He takes his job. Like, there's a guy who wants to be real good.
And
I'm
let me
not
tell you
worried
what,
about him.
not for nothing, but there's a guy I'm really looking forward to see play. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play because I had a lot of
guy that can run, whether it's inside or out. I'm with you, man.
No doubt about it.
It's going to be a good one.
All right, Joe, let's get our championship game predictions in here. We got Minnesota. Let's go Minnesota and Philadelphia. That game's in Philadelphia. Who do you like?
I'm going home cooking, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. I'm kind of with you on that, although I'd like to see Minnesota get the Super Bowl.
You want to see him screw up the whole Super Bowl party?
I would, yeah.
Where it's a terrible 4 days for tourism.
They would be the home team, but they would have to go in the visitors' locker room.
Can you imagine all those poor restaurants and stuff?
You know what's funny about the offseason? The old coaches get a chance to work out a little bit. They don't get to work out during the offseason. They get a little flabby, a little soft.
I thought we got Coach Riz here. He looks good. He doesn't. You don't look bad.
I'm not sure who's thicker, Logan or Coach Riz right now.
Oh. Okay.
It's like a bad tape job, Coach. It's all about the cover-up, man. It's all about the cover-up.
That's what happens when your wife's a good cook.
Yeah, right. All right, New England, Jacksonville.
I'm going New England.
Yeah.
I'm going home cooking.
Yeah, I like it.
I think those are two hard places to win.
I'm going to step
the
out
Eagles.
of bounds, Joe. I'm going to go Jacksonville. I think their pass rush is going to disrupt Brady. I think their running game is strong enough, and that offensive line is strong enough where they can move the ball. And I
Does
know
Blake
it's gonna be
Bortles
tough in
turn the
New
ball
England.
over?
Well, I think Blake Bortles got to kind of keep it tight. Keep it tight in there. He got to play Trent Dilfer like to get the job done. But I'm going to go out. I'm going to step out in the plank.
All right,
and,
that's good.
And go
taking the Jags, who I think it's down to because of they think there might be a little Brady. The numbers dropped a couple, so I think it's 7.5 point spread right now that the Patriots are favored by.
Philadelphia, Jacksonville, Joe. How does that look for you for a Super Bowl? How much blood does that get boiling for that 2 weeks?
Thank God they have Super Bowl parties. It's a good thing on Sunday they'll have a Super Bowl party because that's the only savior.
All right.
Not real sexy.
That's going to do it for the program. I'm feeling a lot of kinship with Logan because he and I have we have both the very similar type of hair.
I can't believe you got him.
I don't have any in the back of my head.
Bo, you actually guilted him into getting a haircut, though. He got all cleaned up.
No, he did that on his own.
You think he did that for the ladies for the off season? All right, that's good. This guy, he didn't. What are you doing, man? What's wrong with you?
Man, this cast of characters. What?
You couldn't make this up.
What is up with these goddamn guys?
You could not make some of this shit up.
If you could see
sword fighting with a football
the crap
in your
that
hand.
we see while this show's going on, it's amazing. Anyway, that's going to do it for the show, Joe.
Thanks,
Always a
Bo.
pleasure on
Take
Friday.
care, man. Thank you.
Guys, thanks a lot. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be back again Monday. Take care.